Alright, so before I start this video, I just want to say, happy Thanksgiving, or happy late Thanksgiving to everybody. I know I didn't post last week, but that was just because I had, stuff going on and, preparing stuff and all. But I am back, and today I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind for the last week. And it all revolves around the newest update that just came into Dead by Daylight, the 9.3.0 update, where, we got, we got auto haven rework and some of the other changes that we got, like the scratch marks, map changes, and some anti-camping changes on Hook and stuff like that. And I mostly just wanted to talk about this update, but then I kind of thought about it and I just wanted to talk about more in general the Dead by Daylight community as a whole, which I know is not a really good thing to say, especially in my position, because I don't really have much to say. But it's still just something I want to talk about because it really just confuses me how people in this community can be so ass backwards the moment things actually start happening into the game. Because we got the 9.3.0 PTB, and I made a video about that, and I talked about the anti-slugging and anti-tunneling changes. And I said in my honest personal opinion, and I thought that they were fine. I was like, yeah, they could have just slightly changed them. They could have slightly, changed the numbers and stuff, or, changed the way some of the mechanics work with, the elusive effect and whatnot, and it would have been fine. And, I'm not really one that, I'm not really somebody that, will blow up at people that, say negative things in my comment section and whatnot, because, it's your opinion. You want to talk bad about me, it's whatever. I understand the fair criticism, but, everybody was saying, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. My points make no sense. I'm just a survivor main that's just, talking about the update and, trying to defend it. And to an extent, yeah, I do agree. I am a survivor main. I do play survivor most of the time when I play this game. However, even as a killer player, because I don't play as much killer survivor, but I still play a lot of killer. I still thought the changes were fine, because when I played the PTB, I didn't even notice a change. I didn't notice any change in my playstyle, in the gameplay, or whatever have you. It just felt like the same game again. So the fact that everybody is getting so upset about these changes and saying oh, this is gonna kill DBD, this is gonna be the biggest problem with DBD, and DBD's done for and stuff, which first of all, I don't think DBD is gonna fall off in the slightest. Yeah, the people that say these things think Dead by Daylight is dying, and that's just on their part. But the numbers of the game say absolutely different things. Yeah, the player count might be slowly decreasing, but it is nowhere near falling off or nowhere near dead at this point in time. And, they're going to keep putting content in this game. And don't even get me started on the fact that we just got an announcement for Stranger Things Chapter 2. I don't even want to get into that. That's a whole other rant for another day, because out of all the things that they could be giving us, it's another fucking Stranger Things chapter, and this is the delayed chapter. But yeah, it's the fact that, everybody was losing their minds a year ago about how Behavior was doing the quality of life initiative, how they're gonna push back a lot of their major content updates, and they're trying to actually work on the game. And this was right before FNAF was coming out, so everybody was like, oh my god, they're actually fixing the game, they're actually gonna add things to the game. And they have actually been adding stuff into the game. Playing the game during that time actually did feel pretty nice, with a lot of the balance changes, a lot of the map changes, and stuff like that. But ever since the Walking Dead update came out, and they changed the way a lot of the gameplay works, the game has just been getting so much negativity, and it really does just seem kind of fucked up, because again, a lot of the changes that they've been trying to add are things that people have wanted in this game. The same people that are complaining about them are the same people that wanted them in the game. So it's we get the anti-slugging and tunneling changes for the first time in the Crassus PTB. And I will admit, they were bad. They were really bad for the killer. They basically made killer non-existent, for the most part, whenever you hooked somebody. Which, it was really bad. It meant, the mechanics made it so a lot of the killer's powers just straight up wouldn't work anymore. Or a lot of killers that were already really bad just were even worse because of the changes. So they decided to forego it, which is fine. I understand that, especially since the Crassus was already a problem in of herself, which I don't even really know how she is. I haven't played against a lot of Crassus recently, so I don't even know how she is now. But yeah, the Crassus was already having problems with her, and the game was still, having some bugs and some issues, but, it was whatever. But then in the 9.3.0 PTB, on top of, the map changes and the killer changes and all that stuff, they tried to do it again. And like I said in my video, I thought that the changes were fine. I really did. I thought that they were, more balanced for both the killer and survivor. The survivor actually had chances to get out. They actually did receive benefits for, being unhooked and stuff like that. And, for most killer players, it wasn't even really going to affect them. Like, whenever I played killer, it just didn't really affect me because I just didn't really... I'm not the type of person that constantly slugs or tunnels. So, I get that. But, like, again, everybody was saying that this update was going to be bad. And even now, like, a lot of people say that the update is bad. And, I get it, there is some things about it that are not really great. And, some of the changes to killers and stuff like that, like, yeah, they're not great. But I don't think this update is as bad as people are making it out to be. And, like I said, it's like, even when I brought this up in my video, everybody is just saying, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, like, I'm just... saying shit, or like, like, I just don't understand anything. And like, again, like, fair, it's fair. If you guys don't think I know what I'm talking about, I get it. And, but for me, I just like to give my opinion about these things, and I just really don't understand how the community can, beg and, say, like, we need these things, we need these things, we need these things. But then the devs actually put it in the game, and then suddenly the entire community is just, no, this shit is ass, take it out of the game, like, we don't want it. Like, even, like, with the Myers rework that they did, like, yes, I get it, the Myers rework wasn't great. I understand that lore-wise, it's fucking stupid, it makes no sense, but, like, really, from a gameplay perspective, it wasn't that bad. It really just meant that Myers was just a stronger chase killer now, instead of a, stand across the map for 5 hours to snog people and then kill them when you get close. Like, Myers actually had some, like, chase ability. And to me, at least, like, yeah, it can get annoying, but at least it was still more fun and engaging than just letting him stare at me for 5 hours until he just kills me with a tombstone. So, like, I didn't really mind the Myers rework, but like, a lot of people really just said that, like, this rework was awful, and they need to just stop, they need to just, redo it again, and, with the Skull Merchant rework coming soon, because most likely we're definitely getting the Skull Merchant rework next year as well. On top of, we're possibly even getting the Trickster rework, it's like, I feel like it's going to be the exact same thing. Like, everybody has been saying that they want a Skull Merchant rework. But, the fact that, we actually are getting a Skull Merchant rework, I feel like the moment they put it into the game, everyone's going to say, oh my god, this is horrible. Like, we can't go with this. And, yeah, it really just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how are we going to, beg the devs to add these things? But then the moment they actually try, not only do we give feedback for them to change it, but even when they do change it to a more fair state, people just don't accept it. Like, they just don't want it anymore. And it really never made sense to me, because like I said, it's like, if people just gave it a chance and just let the devs make it, and, like, just gave them more, feedback on it, instead of just saying, like, this is going to kill DBD, this is the end of DBD, DBD is going to be ruined because of this update. I feel like if people actually just gave it a fair chance, we wouldn't be in this situation where, like, we have, like, these really fucked up updates, because people keep saying that we don't need these updates, but then they push everything else out anyways. Like, yeah, people were like, yeah, we don't want the anti-slugging and tunneling changes, but then, people forgot about all the other things, like the perks and the changes to the maps and stuff like that. So when those updates still go out, people are still upset about it, because they were more focused on the anti-slugging and tunneling changes to really give proper feedback on everything else. So it's just like, it just really made no sense to me, because again, it's like, these are things that we've wanted for so long, and we were willing to give, fair feedback and, like, constructive criticism towards it. But then the moment they actually put them in the game, suddenly it's a problem. But they're so focused on this that they're not caring about everything else, so that when everything else comes to the game, everyone's just complaining anyways. And then, yeah, it's just a never-ending loop of people just complaining about this, and then it doesn't get added, but then this gets added, and people complain about that. And, it's causing so many more problems in this game than it needs to, and that's why I feel like the game is just really isn't in a great state right now, is because people can't make up their minds on what they want and what they don't want in the game. So when they complain about one thing, but then something else gets added, they're still going to complain about it, instead of, actually just looking at the update as a whole. They're just looking at, like, the small things. So, because like I said, to me, I thought the update that we just got was fine. Yeah, there were some problems with it. Yeah, there's some things that don't really make sense with it. but it was still like a fine update. We got like some more killer changes, we got, you know, perk changes, we got map reworks, we got some updates to the anti-camping when you're on hook, and, you know, some other like pretty decent things. But again, people are still calling this update bad. People are still saying that this is gonna kill the game. People are still like just complaining about everything. But all they were doing during the PTB was complaining about the anti-slugging and tunneling changes. So like I don't really understand it. And you know, if if anyone else wants to, you know, comment down below and, you know, tell me what their opinion was on the update, I'd love to hear it, because, you know, this update was kind of a nothing burger after the slugging and tunneling changes got removed, because it was mostly just balance changes after that. Like, we didn't get anything major. And, you know, now that DBD is on its way into the you know, Bone Chill like winter event, and we're getting like, you know, all the winter stuff, and this could be honestly a whole conversation for another video too, because I also just have opinions about how the devs are doing their events now with like the rewards and stuff like that. But yeah, now that we're getting the winter event and we're going into next year, it's like I'm not thinking that DBD is like over or that DBD is dying, but I do think DBD is just in a very chaotic state right now with both the game and the community. And next year is definitely not going to be a major help, considering that we're getting the Stranger Things Chapter 2 in January, and then like a month later we're gonna get like a month and a half later we're getting another solo Survivor DLC that's made by Behavior. And, you know, with all the content updates that are going to be coming out in between there, and like, you know, game modes and stuff and game modifiers and whatnot, DBD is just in a very chaotic state right now. And I don't want to blame the community for it, because it's the community's choice to, like, you know, say what they like and don't like about the game. But people just, like, can't make up their minds on what they like and what they don't like. So then when we get these updates that people don't like, you know, they're so focused on all these different things and all these little things that when the actual update as a whole comes out, people are still complaining that the game is dying, or still complaining that the game is just, you know, bad and shit. And it's like, I don't know, I just really wish that the DBD community would actually just, you know, like give the updates a chance, instead of just immediately saying that, you know, the game's dead and the game is, you know, gonna fall off, the game is shit. Because at the end of the day, we as a community are the people that are deciding what goes and what stays and what goes. But there's so much backlash back and forth between the community that, like, we can't even tell what's gonna stay and what's gonna go, because nobody can make up their mind with it. But yeah, that's kind of just what I wanted to talk about today, because yeah, like I said, I love the game and I love the updates that they're pushing out. I love that the devs are still trying to update the game and balance it. But the community just really is just, like, in a insane state right now. And, you know, people are constantly, like, you know, arguing, saying that the game's dying and that these changes are bad and whatnot. But, like, at the same time, like, there's all these other things that are happening that, you know, not a lot of people are talking about. And I just kind of wanted to, like, you know, bring this stuff up, because, like I said, I really do think that, like, people are just not really paying attention to a lot of these major updates anymore. They're just focusing on the little things that, you know, they're saying, like, oh, this is going to kill the game. But yeah, I just kind of want to talk about that this week. So yeah, you can check out all my other DBD little discussion videos that I do. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next one.